plan. And in that plan, he says, I'm going to let you sink or swim. I'm going to let you rise to the occasion. I'm going to let you make the choices in your life. And when you're young and you're taught, you've got a good mother and father, a Christian home, and they're teaching you, and they're saying, you know, make the right, put God first in your life. Pray when you go to bed at night. I remember, maybe you do, but you've seen, you know, the Leave It to Beaver kind of movies and stuff on television where the mother and father come in, and the last thing they do at night is they come in and tuck their little kiddies in, and they say their prayer. Now, the prayer was kind of a little morbid thing. You know, if I should die before I wake, I pray the Lord my soul to take. But you know what I'm saying. But anyway, they were doing it. Well, nowadays, there is a monstrous breakdown in the family. And so sometimes what's happening, that little kid's heading off to bed, playing one of these before they get there. Yep. And the father's sitting in the other room watching the news, or he's already sound asleep, and the mother's, you know, watching some whatever. It just isn't what God designed it to do, because what we're doing is we're failing as individuals in that situation that God has placed in our hands. This is our opportunity to rise to the occasion. And it's not only with children, it's with brothers and sisters and cousins and uncles and aunts and everybody that's involved. And so we become, I mean, this family is broken down. If yours is not broken down, you can say, praise the Lord. But if your family has had that dysfunction, that thing that, I'm going to tell you who it is, it's the enemy of your soul that you've allowed to creep into your life and into your family, and you let your guard down. And you didn't put on the spiritual armor of God. You didn't realize that there's going to be a warfare, that there's somebody after your kids. There's somebody after you. There's somebody, and they don't like you. That power, that force, that evil, that enemy of our souls don't like you. They don't have your best interest in mind. But God has a plan. And that plan was designed that you and I should set our minds, should just act like flint, the Bible said. Set your mind like flint. In other words, make up your mind. Now, a few weeks ago, Sarah and I were in the company of an individual that we've been trying to help, and this individual must have said to us several times in the matter of a couple of hours of counseling, I have made up my mind. And less than a week later, they're back in jail for the same failings and failures and breakdown in their life. And yet the guy tells me that he was raised in a Christian, matter of fact, a Pentecostal family, and was taught from the time he was young. Now, how to be, but he's failed. Why did he fail? Because we can. Because God gave you the opportunity to say yes and no. When you're little kids, you remember when it was. I don't know when some of you that smoke, I don't know when you started smoking. I know my brother was 11. I know that because I remember that. And I know that somebody came up to you, or you saw somebody, or it was peer pressure, or it was whatever it was, but somebody came up to you and said, you want a cigarette? It's decision time. And somebody says, one person said no, and one person said yes. And some of those people that said yes have regretted that, what seemed like a small and insignificant situation, the rest of their lives. Ed told me one time, I hope Ed won't mind me telling you this, I love Ed like a brother. And Ed told me that he has a problem with alcohol. He's a recovering alcoholic. Don't be alarmed, there's more of them sitting here, you know what I'm saying? But here's the deal, he told me he didn't even drink when he was young. How old Ed? How old were you when you started drinking?
35.
35 years old. But listen to this. We've talked about this, and I hope you don't mind me using it. I think this will be a really good example and testimony for you. He said he was driving, his wife had passed away, and he was just driving down the road one day, just like any other day, and he happened to glance at liquor stores he's driving by. And for whatever reason, he was compelled to turn over, and he went in there and bought alcohol. Never drank before. You see, this is a constant battle. God set up a beautiful plan that if you and I follow God's law, and if we follow the examples of others that have made a success spiritually out of their lives, if we would follow and pattern our lives after them, you could get to the end of this thing and say, wow, that was incredible.